Hey, what's up, everybody? We are here, another episode here on Sports Talk Detroit. And right now, we are going to be talking about those two picks that are almost back to back, late first round, early second round picks, 32 and 34. And we got some thoughts on this. And we've been seeing the comments flying in about these picks and who we like compared to who other people like. And we want to try and narrow it down to our three best picks at 32/34 in that range. And I think, Chris, don't you think it's fair to say that we can have the same people for both picks? Like they're not that far apart from each other. So
Right.
we're going to just do our three best players for those two picks combined. So I want to ask you, let's go third best first. Who's the third best player where you're like, all right, 32, Goodell walks up to the podium, and this is the name that you're the third most happy with? What do you got?
Yeah. So, and we're trying to be as realistic as possible. Like, really, we're right. Like, I think some of these people might drop. So we might throw a name out that's like, oh, he won't be there. Well, it's like
Uh-oh. We
somebody
might.
might.
We
But
might,
I
and then
went
we'll
the
hear
other
it, of
way.
course, because people overreact, and that's
Yeah.
okay. We still love you.
I went the other way. I went with a guy that originally
Oh.
was a third rounder that keeps coming up that it's like, boy, I just would be good taking him at 32, 34. And that's the Lewis sign that we just kind of been on. He had a
Mm.
great 40 had a great combine, safety, book it fast.
Yeah.
I think I like that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the opposite way. I think it's just about right. I really
Yes.
do. I think that a lot of people have a mock with him going to us, and I'm very comfortable with it. And I
Mhm.
don't know if I'm crazy here, but I'm almost starting to like him as much as Hamilton. And I know he's not the same, but I don't know. I like the underdog. So when I think like if this guy is not that much worse, like this is where I want to be.
I
So
agree.
my number three on my list was the exact same as yours. And I promise we don't look at this. We didn't
No.
look at it beforehand. We will start talking sports and we'll look at each other and be like, hey, save it for the channel. Right. So like we didn't talk about this, but this is the same one. And I think it's because you have that size, speed. You have, the bulldog mentality, no pun intended, with being from Georgia. But like all these things that I see from him, that I'm like, man, he could be multifaceted in this defense, and I would love to see what he looks like. So my number three is the exact same as your number three. So
Love it.
congratulations. We agree. And that rhymes with three. I'm being really nerdy. You should not have let me host this video. You should have taken it. Who do you have at number two? Who's the guy you would love to see second most called off the board?
Well, I'm gonna just combine my next two here because
What?
I know, watch out.
What am I
And
supposed to do?
yeah, then you can just go wild. So my
Oh,
next
yeah, go
two are
crazy.
just like guys that I just think we're gonna be right here. Perfect sweet spot. So
Okay.
Quay Walker, linebacker, Georgia.
Okay.
Um, he's one of the top linebackers. He's gonna be second linebacker off the board.
Yeah.
Um, let's take him. Boom, linebacker. And then the
Linebacker.
other one is Christian Harris, linebacker, Alabama. So
See,
now,
that's going the other way, right? A lot of
yes.
people think he'll be 40 something.
So same thing. I wanted to I don't know, like, because there was a lot of names that I'm like, I don't know if he'll be there. I don't know if he'll be there. These are, I guess, safer, if you will. But yeah, Christian
They're
Harris was
safe.
another one that was not a first rounder. He was more late second, but it keeps kind of coming up. And then yeah, there's those linebackers that are going to come off the board, and these guys are like second and third linebackers. So the
Yeah.
first linebacker is what's his name from Georgia?
Quay Walker.
No, the other
Oh, N'Kobe
linebacker.
Dean.
Yes, N'Kobe Dean might probably go one. These guys go 2, 3. Or what's his name from Utah is out there too. So I think he might be gone. So these are the next
Maybe.
linebackers that could be gone.
I'm
Right,
not
Devin
obsessed with
Lloyd.
him anyway.
Yeah, Devin Lloyd. But me either. Boom. I like it. Book it. I keep saying that because it's like we just have a hole there at linebacker. We
Oh,
haven't had linebackers forever. I would
yeah.
love like playmaker dart in and make a play behind the line of scrimmage. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's a teaser from another video that we did. We are
Yes.
talking about the lack of linebackers in free agency and how that's one of our concerns heading into the draft.
Yes.
So naturally, I'm going to have a linebacker here as well. But right before we got on, well, not right before we got on here, that's an exaggeration. A day ago, I was reading that it was the PFF.
Mm.
It was the draft from there. And I think McShay might have done one. We've had two mock drafts recently that have us taking N'Kobe Dean at 32. that he falls down the list and he goes to us because other people are starting to see other things and his stock is starting to drop a little bit. So that is my number one guy. Like, I would love to see this guy off the board at 32. I think that would be an amazing pick. And you're going to say, there's no way he's going to be there. Look, I'm not the only guy that's mocking this. Now, I don't mock drafting this. I don't think that he will actually be there. But like you said, there might be a reach here, right? There might be a reach.
Somebody is going to fall because
Yeah.
someone is going to take these quarterbacks, one,
Yeah.
2, 3 quarterbacks. And then before you know it, that's 3 players that have dropped. So
Yeah. And then I'm going to throw 2 more names at you.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw 2 more names at you because you told me to do 3 players you'd like to see, and I wrote down 9. So I think I'm gonna get at least another 2 guys in there.
Yeah.
So my next 2 names, some people are gonna not like this, some people will. I'd like to see us take a shot at Matt Corral. If he's still on the board, him, Ritter, what that looks like, those guys. I'd like Corral more than Ritter, but I would like to see if they're still there. If we haven't addressed it with Willis at number 2, I wouldn't hate to see what that looks like. I think Matt Corral could be one of 2 things. He could either be something along the lines of Russell Wilson, if that accuracy continues to prove, or he could just flame out and just be a backup that has, decent speed and just never put it all together. My second guy that I like is actually, I know this sounds weird and it seems like an early pick for him, so I'm even talking myself out of it right now, but Trey McBride, tight end out of Colorado State. And the reason I like that pick is twofold. Hawkinson's coming up. They're starting in extension talks. They want to keep him. He's been slightly injury prone. And so I want to have good insurance there. I also would love to have insurance at the tight end position because he reminds me a lot of Hawkinson. I would like to have insurance at the tight end position in case Hawkinson's just demanding a ton of money in a year and a half. Like, I want to be able to say, all right, dude, we're not going to pay you $14 million a year to play tight end or whatever it might be. Like, let's get some depth there, and knowing that a tight end too isn't just depth. He's a guy that's on the field a lot. So I would like to see that. So that's my 4.
Well, out of those that you said, I think that the tight end is most interesting to me because that is a hole. I mean, we do not have a tight end, a backup tight end. I mean, we have players, but that's an area we have not.
We have a lot of tight ends on the roster.
A lot of tight ends, and they're in there, and you think, man, like this guy looks good, looks the part, and it's like never gets the ball thrown to him, barely, and you never see him. But anyway, we don't have a game. We haven't really had a tight end other than Hawkinson. And like you said, Hawkinson's been injury prone. Jesse James, I can think of other guys that we've thrown in there, and it just doesn't.
Oh, for sure. You got Pettigrew, you got like all these different guys. But like, I personally think best tight end in Lions history, David Sloan. Fantastic tight end. No, here's all kidding aside, what the tight end room reminds me of right now, even though they're better on the top, because Hawkinson is a top 5, top 10 tight end in the league. Even though they're better at the top, the rest of it reminds me of what our wide receiver room was last year, where you have a bunch of guys that are on the roster, but they might not even make another roster. Like, they should be that 3rd tight end if you're going to carry 4, that 4th tight end, or like a practice squad kind of guy. We have a bunch of those guys sitting there like we did at wide receiver last year. And so I think we need a better tight end, and I think McBride is the real deal. So that's where I'm at with that. Do you have anything you want to add at the end of this video, or am I cutting it out of here?
I'm all good. Other than David Sloan had the biggest shoulder pads. You remember those things? Oh man,
everybody had big shoulder pads.
His were just like
it went.
He was one of those guys, like everyone's going smaller. Back then, everyone was going bigger, and then he was one of those like, you want to see bigger? Like, I'm gonna be this tight end, blocking tight end. Oh
yeah, him and Chris Spielman were having competitions for biggest shoulder pads, and it was just fantastic to watch.
And now you really don't wear shoulder pads, which is just you wear your helmet, and then you wear like some paper plates,
some nylon.
Yeah,
some poly.
Oh yeah, like females in like the 80s wore shoulder pads.
Shoulder pads. That's exactly right. That hung on into the 90s too, I think, with the perm. So that was good stuff. We have gone way off kilter. If anybody made it this far in the video, they got to finally see some of our ridiculous sense of humor. But we are done with this video. If you liked it, hit the subscribe button. It's down there. We would really appreciate it. We'd love to have you be part of this community. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Who would you love to see the Lions draft? You don't have to tell us that our picks are terrible. Just tell us who you'd like to see, and we'll talk about it. We'd love chatting with you. Till the next one. See ya.
See ya.